Very good morning. This is the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Ashwarya Kapoor with you. Let us start the news bulletin with the top headlines. Over 64% voting in last phase of Lok Sabha polls. West Bengal sees a highest 77% turnout. 76% in Madhya Pradesh, over 71% polling in Himachal Pradesh and Jharkhand. Over 66% turnout in all 7 phases. Poll violence mars final phase polling in West Bengal. BJP demands central forces in West Bengal till model code of conduct ends. Nirmala Sitharaman alleges TMC workers may target voters after polls. BJP, CPM and Congress demand re-poll at several booths. Election Commission seizes cash, liquor and drugs worth around 3,450 crore rupees during Lok Sabha polls. Seizure nearly 3 times more than 2014 Lok Sabha polls. Over 900 posts are taken down from social media platforms during the polls. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu expresses anguish at a falling quality of political debates during poll campaign. Urges politicians to consider opposition leaders as competitors and not enemies. Emphasizes need to respect institutions. And US President Donald Trump's stern warning to Iran says a war with the US would be the end of Iran. Saudi Arabia calls urgent meeting of Arab nations over fresh tensions with Iran. First up, all the election-related news. Voting for the 7th and final phase concluded on Sunday with the 64.77% voter turnout. An estimated over 10 crore Indians voted in 59 Lok Sabha constituencies in Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand and Chandigarh. Punjab, which voted in the single phase for its 13 Lok Sabha seats, recorded a voter turnout of 65.85%. The 13 seats in UP, which also included the candidature of PM Narendra Modi from Varanasi, saw 58.01% people coming out and casting their vote. The 9 seats in West Bengal in this phase saw 76.69% voter turnout. 53.36% voter turnout was recorded in Bihar, where 8 seats went to polls in the last phase. And in Madhya Pradesh, 8 seats went to polls and an estimated 75.54% came out to vote. Himachal Pradesh, where single-phase voting was held in 4 Lok Sabha seats, saw 71.52% voter turnout. And the 3 constituencies of Jharkhand saw the turnout of 71.16%. And the single Lok Sabha seat in Chandigarh saw a turnout of 63.57%. And the counting of votes will be done on Thursday.
In disseminating information to all the voters, and all the crucial information was given to the Election Commission through the media and also to all the stakeholders. I'm immensely thankful to the millions of voters who are the most important stakeholders for the Election Commission of India, and they have lived up to the ideals set forth in the Constitution of India. They came in a very large number. We hope that this turnout will be much better than what it was in the last election. Braving the harshness of weather, scorching heat and impediment of other kinds, they came forward in a large number and voted all across the phases in different rounds of elections. We are extremely thankful to the senior citizens and persons with disabilities and the women voters. Their fortitude and resolute will be there to help us building this electoral process stronger. We are thankful to all the field machinery, all the presiding officers, all the booth level officers, all the volunteers returning officers, district election officers, chief electoral officers, and all other state nodal officers. They have toiled day and night despite adverse circumstances, at times with one goal in mind: the smooth conduct of free and fair election. Our thanks to lakhs of the security personnel from the CPF, police and other organizations. It was a task arduous and exhausting, traveling hundreds of kilometers in order to ensure an atmosphere of peace and reassurance to every voter. We are thankful to all other stakeholders, all civil society organizations who helped us in connecting and engaging with the voters directly.
And looking at some more figures now, a look at all the numbers and voter turnout for all the phases of the 17th Lok Sabha elections. An estimated 61 crore Indians out of the total 90.99 crore people eligible to vote exercise their franchise during the 7-phased general elections, making the total voter turnout in all the 7 phases over 66%. These include 1.9 crore young voters, that is in the age group of 18 to 19 years, while the service voters stood at 18 lakh. And talking about some more figures now, according to the Election Commission, in Phase 1, the turnout was 69.61%. It decreased marginally to 69.44% in Phase 2, and in third round, the percentage was 68.4%. In Phase 4, it was 65.5%. And in the 5th phase, the turnout dipped to 64.16%. But in the penultimate phase, it went up to 64.4%. And the final phase saw the turnout of over 64%. Now, with this, voting concluded in 542 out of 543 Lok Sabha seats. Election for one seat, Vellore, in Tamil Nadu has been deferred over alleged use of money power. Over 8,000 candidates contested in these elections, and the turnout in 2014 was a record high 66.4%. News from West Bengal now, where incidents of violence were again reported in various parts of West Bengal during the last phase as well. There were reports of attack at the cars of BJP's Diamond Harbour constituency candidate Nilanjan Roy and the BJP candidate from Jadavpur, Anupam Hazra. The BJP has accused the TMC of letting loose widespread violence in the last phase of Lok Sabha elections in West Bengal as well. The party has now urged the Election Commission to order the presence of Central Armed Police Forces in the state till the Model Code of Conduct period ends. BJP leader and Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman accused the Trinamool Congress workers of not letting the voters who are opposed to their party enter the polling booths.
हमारे मांग ये है कि वोटर को टीएमसी धमकी देने वाले जो कार्यक्रम हो रही है उधर उसको इलेक्शन कमीशन संज्ञान में लेना चाहिए। और ये भी हमारे ये मांग है कि आज से लेकर के, क्योंकि हमें डर है कि बंगाल की मुख्यमंत्री साहिबा ने जो पहले से धमकी देते आ रहे हैं, इंच इंच का बदला लेने के विषय जो वो बार बार बोल रहे हैं, और उनके कहने में टीएमसी के कार्यकर्ता खुलेआम बाहर आकर के लोगों को पिटाई वगैरह करते हैं। इसीलिए हमें डर है पोलिंग खत्म होने के बाद से टीएमसी का नरसंहार उधर शुरू होगा क्या। इसीलिए हम मानते हैं कि सेंट्रल आर्म्ड पुलिस फोर्स उधर रहें पूरे मॉडल कोड ऑफ कॉन्डक्ट जब तक खत्म ना हो।
And the BJP has demanded repolling in several booths in 8 of the 9 constituencies which went to polls in the last phase. Left parties and the Congress party have also expressed concern at the rampant violence in the state during the elections. They have also demanded repolling at several booths. All right, our colleague Anu Diwan is joining us on the phone line from West Bengal. Also, Ravindra Singh Shoran is joining us live from Chandigarh. Coming to you first, Anu, because West Bengal saw the highest 77% voter turnout, but we have seen how violence has marred all the phases, including the final phase. And talking about the final phase, the BJP has demanded that the central forces be put there in the state till the model code of conduct ends. Several parties have also demanded for repolling. What are the updates that you can give us?
Definitely, Aishwarya, in the 7th phase, it was a little bit expected that the violence won't erupt in West Bengal, but the things went completely changed. We have seen, because we have seen yesterday only in the morning hours, it was all pleasing, all pleasant. Nothing, no violence news was there. But as soon as the day was going behind, we have seen that the 3 major constituencies, 9 parliamentary, out of 9, only 3 major constituencies were the victim of violence. We have seen in Jadavpur, there were ruxas between the TMC workers and the BJP workers. Even in the Diamond Harbour, Niranjan Roy, BJP candidate, cars was attacked. And after that, and even in Bashirhat, there was the violence between the workers of the 2 major political parties, as the BJP was alleging that the TMC workers are stopping voters from voting. And we have seen in the early morning hours, there were a huge crowd at the voting center, but as the violence interrupted, we see, if we see the graph of the voting percentage, we see after 3 o'clock, there were very marginal increase in the voting percentage. Although Bengal has given a very good voting percentage this time, that is 77%, but the major issue of Bengal is the violence. Even now, the political parties has Election Commission has also demanded that till the model code of conduct, central forces should be deployed in the whole of West Bengal, because they are saying that there may be some violence during the counting day as well, because they have seen that during the polling day there was violence in major constituencies, very critical constituencies, and it is creating a fear among the people that whether they go for casting the vote. And even if whatever the result may be, we are also eagerly waiting for the results of 23rd May. But the political parties in Bengal are again and again demanding Election Commission that the central force should be deployed, heavy deployment should be there, so that the violence does not erupt on the counting day, and whosoever party wins will show that which party has given the issues of the people, which party is towards the people, and how people have elected their party on the which terms and basis. Because we
indeed. So while of course the voting percentage, the turnout is a good sign that the people of the state are sending out, but the incidence of violence is indeed pathetic. Thank you so much, Anu, for joining us right now. Ravindra Singh Shuran is joining us from Chandigarh. Ravindra, of course, for all the phases, the elections are over. Talking about Punjab, which voted in the single phase for 13 Lok Sabha seats, it saw a turnout of 65.85%, and the Chandigarh seat also saw a good voter turnout of 63.57%. How do you look at the election in Punjab that concluded yesterday?
Good morning, Aishwarya. That's right. The election, it was more or less peaceful, but 3 incidents of violence were reported from Punjab. One in Khadusa, where one of the voter who was going back to his home after casting his right of franchise, he was murdered with a sharp-edged weapon. But the police and the officials have yet to be ascertained that it was a poll-related violence or it was an incident of personal enmity. The other violence incident which took place in Bhatinda, that is one of the key constituency where the Union Minister Harsimrat Kaur Badal, she is contesting an election against the youth leader Amrinder Singh Raja Barar. There also violence took place. The firing was opened by some of the leaders of the Congress party, and one district president of the Congress party with other 11 Congress leaders. They have been booked under various sections of the IPC for violating of the code, and also for creating ruckus at the public place and opening fire under different section of IPC and code violation. And another incident that took place in the other district, that was also against one of the Shiromani Akali Dal leader, which he was chased out by allegedly Congress workers from one place where he was there. More or less, it was a peaceful election. If we if we talk about the whole of the Punjab's scenario, the figure which we received so far, which has been released by the Election Commission of 66%, that is a bit less than the last 2014's election. In 2014, the Punjab voted around 70% of the turnout was seen, but this time it is a dip of around 4%. Election Commission
so, of course,
is quite
2014 had seen a record voter turnout. Of course, the voting percentage is lesser than that, than the 2014 elections. So, thank you so much, Ravindra, for joining us and giving us all the updates from Punjab. Meanwhile, by-polls to 13 assembly seats in 5 states also concluded on Sunday. Now, these include 5 assembly seats in West Bengal, 4 in Tamil Nadu, 2 in Karnataka, 2 in and 1 each in Goa and Uttar Pradesh. Here, the voting percentage is 77.62%. That was recorded in by-polls to the 4 assembly segments as far as the Tamil Nadu is concerned, and these include the 4 assembly segments of Aravakuruchi, Sulur, Thiruparanakundram and Ottapidaram in Tamil Nadu. The by-polls are crucial as they have a bearing on the K. Palaniswamy government. The ruling AIADMK needs to win a significant number of these seats to retain a comfortable majority. Remember, AIADMK has a strength of 113 minus the Speaker in the House with 22 vacancies, and the simple majority in the full House is 117. Meanwhile, social media platforms including Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp removed a total of 909 posts during the entire Lok Sabha election exercise following directions from the Election Commission. While Facebook took down 650 posts, Twitter also removed more than 200 posts. Of the 650 posts taken down by Facebook, 482 were political messages posted during the silence period, and other platforms like Snapchat also took down 31 objectionable posts, followed by YouTube with 5 posts, and WhatsApp removed 3 posts. 647 confirmed cases of paid news were also reported during the elections. And the Election Commission also seized unaccounted cash, illicit liquor, drugs, gold and freebies worth around 3,450 crore rupees since the Lok Sabha polls were announced on 10th of March. The seizure is nearly 3 times the figures of the 2014 Lok Sabha polls, which was 1,206 crore rupees. According to the Election Commission, of the total seizure, cash worth over 839 crore rupees, and drugs worth 1,270 crore rupees were confiscated.
The seizures made by all our enforcement teams starting from the date of announcement till today evening 5 p.m. The total cash seizure has been rupees 839.03 crores. Total liquor seizure is rupees 294.41 crores. Total drugs and narcotics seizure is rupees 1270.37 crores. Total precious metal and jewelry items that are used for inducement of voters stands at rupees 986.76 crores, and total freebies seizure is rupees 58.56 crores. So the grand total of all seizures made by our teams during this entire election period in 2019 elections is rupees 3,449.12 crores. Last time I only shared the figures with you, if my memory serves me right, it was 1,203 crores, 1,206 crores. Cash was 303 crores.
Meanwhile, the markets opened on a high note today. The BSE Sensex jumped 771 points higher to settle at 38,701, surging over 2% in the pre-opening session. The Nifty also jumped 150 points or 1.33% to settle at 11,407. The Indian rupee opened at a 2-week high of 69.49 against the US dollar. And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has expressed his anguish over the low quality of political debates during the just concluded election campaign. Speaking at a function in Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh, he said that politicians should remember that they are only rivals and must not resort to personal attacks. He added that all leaders must focus on larger issues of public concern and respect the institutions of the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister, Leader of the Opposition and other public representatives. He also appealed to the legislators, political parties, institutions and people in public life to uphold high values and standards. And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has also urged the agricultural universities to step up research on improving their yields. Speaking at the inaugural session of All India Coordinated Research Group's annual group meeting in Guntur, the Vice President called for increasing the productivity of pulses for achieving self-sufficiency. The Vice President stressed on the need to improve crop production techniques and bring additional lands under pulses production. Observing that legumes were an essential component of Indian cropping pattern, Vice President Naidu said that India was the largest producer in the world of the pulses, accounting for 34% of the area and 24% of production.
I am very happy that this university has taken up pulses as well as cereals production. This also goes in a similar manner. You must focus more on productivity in pulses. The total consumption of various pulses and pulse production in India is about 21 to 22 million tons. India's annual pulse production is about 18.45 million, covering an area of about 33.47 million hectares, majority of which falls under rain-fed, resource-poor and harsh environments frequently prone to drought and other abiotic stress conditions. To meet the demand of pulses, India is at present importing about 4.2 million tons from different countries, including the USA and Russia. In order to ensure self-sufficiency, the pulse requirements in the country is projected to be 32 million tons by 2030. However, import of pulses declined from 100 lakh tons in 16-17 to 56.5 lakh tons in 17-18, resulting in a saving of foreign exchange amount of 9,775 crores.
On the international news now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison on his victory in the elections. In a tweet, PM Modi wished the people of Australia all the success under Morrison's dynamic leadership. He said that as a strategic partners, he is looking forward to continue working together closely to further strengthen the relationship between India and Australia. Remember, Morrison is close to securing a majority government as the election's final results are being counted. His Conservative coalition has defied polls and is leading with 77 seats. Only 76 are needed for majority. Remember, Australia holds election every 3 years, but with infighting rife, no Prime Minister has succeeded in serving a full term since 2007. And US President Donald Trump has issued a strong warning to Iran, tweeting that the military engagement with the US would mean the official end of Iran. Now, Donald Trump's threat comes amid rising tensions between Washington and Tehran. Earlier this month, the United States deployed an aircraft carrier strike group and a bomber task force to the Middle East in response to what it called were clear indications that Iran or its proxies were planning an attack on US forces in the region. The Pentagon then announced on 10th of May that it was sending a Patriot anti-missile battery to the area as well as a further deterrent. Then on Wednesday, the U.S. State Department ordered all the non-emergency personnel at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and the U.S. Consulate in Iraq to leave. The latest frictions come after Iran suspended its commitments under the 2014 international nuclear deal and threatened to resume the production of enriched uranium, which is used to make reactor fuel and nuclear weapons. The deal is aimed to cut sanctions on Iran in exchange for an end to its nuclear program, but the US unilaterally withdrew from the agreement last year. Sports news now. Rafael Nadal has clinched his 9th Italian Open title. Nadal defeated long-time rival Novak Djokovic 6-0, 4-6, 6-1 in Rome on Saturday. Now, this is Nadal's first clay court title of the season and 81st title of his career. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day ahead.